Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, The Challenges of High Volume Senders featuring LendingTree in partnership with BlueShift. I'm Jen Lacey, and I'll be facilitating today's discussion. So before we get started, just a few items we'd like to cover. We'll be taking questions in the GoToWebinar chat, and you can also join the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag #EmailPros. Any questions we don't cover, we'll make sure to follow up on via email after the webinar, and the recording will be emailed to all attendees after the session. So today we're joined by three industry thought leaders. First, we have Chris Kossel, a Senior Director of CRM at LendingTree with over 10 years of experience in digital marketing. Chris has found that using data to personalize marketing, especially email marketing, has been the key to growth for every company he's worked for. We're also joined by Marina Benzi, Director of Product Marketing at BlueShift. Marina's led product marketing for category-defining products across MarTech and AdTech, and she's passionate about helping marketers realize the opportunities within data and intelligence. And last but not least, we have Tanya Gordon. Tanya is the in-house deliverability and compliance guru at SparkPost and is tasked with running the teams that make sure sending reputations stay positive and abusers are quickly identified. She's spent the past 15 years on both the email sending and receiving sides of businesses, including several top email service providers. Thank you to all three of you for taking time to talk today. And with that, we're going to dive into LendingTree's journey to high volume sending success. And Marina's going to get us started.
Chris, Tanya, I'm really excited to dive into this topic with you today because I still clearly remember when I managed CRM at Gap Inc., the challenges of having 5 brands sending mass volumes of emails from one account, the deliverability issues we'd encounter, especially during peak seasons, the fire drills that would arise during time-sensitive promotions due to email backlogs, needing to carefully manage the customer experience to minimize opt-outs. But back then, we didn't have the tools available today. So I'm excited to dive further into how LendingTree overcame its high volume sending challenges, and in doing so, how it improved its customer experience. So to start off, Chris, can you tell the audience about LendingTree and how email fits into your marketing strategy?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Marina. Happy to be here too. So LendingTree is the nation's leading online marketplace that connects consumers with the choices they need to be confident in their financial decisions. What that really means is we offer news, tools, comparison shopping so you can find the lowest possible rate on loans to customers when they come to our website. Email is obviously a really key part of our overall strategy because for a lot of customers, they're not ready to get a loan the first time they come to check out rates or to get news or to use some of our tools. So we need to develop a long-term relationship with our users so that when they are ready to apply for their next loan, they already have the relationship with us and understand our products and how they are used and understand the value of using our products. We have at LendingTree about 16 different types of loan products, from auto loans, student loans, home refinance, home purchase loans, home equity, on and on. There's a bunch more. I won't list them all out, but some of the loans are easy to understand. Some are harder to understand, just depending on the customer's experience with financial products in the past. But needless to say, there's a lot of different options that we can provide for customers and a lot of different ways that we can talk about our products to different types of customers. But the bottom line is we really want users to come to us when they're ready to get a loan. Whether that's today, which is great for us, or if it's in the future, we just want to be ready to be there. For us to actually execute on that strategy of getting people to a loan who are ready today and keep people engaged with us if they're not ready to do a loan today, we really had to get to the point of having the right partners and the right strategy and the right capabilities in place where we could execute that. And for us, in about the first and second quarters of 2017, as we were looking to really evolve our email campaigns to get to the point where we wanted it to be, we started working with BlueShift and SparkPost to help us make that next step and evolve our programs.
Thanks, Chris, for the background. Now, LendingTree, like many brands, has been moving up the marketing and customer engagement maturity curve. But even when marketing teams are in the batch and blast stage of marketing maturity, when they're sending mostly general messages to predefined segments at set times, deliverability, latency, reputation, those are already issues for high volume senders. But now as marketing teams find themselves facing limitations with scaling their marketing campaigns, or are seeing that they are fatiguing their customers with the same message, or struggling to keep customers engaged because batch and blast doesn't allow for a high level of relevancy, organizations start moving up the customer engagement maturity curve, adding behavior triggered or life cycle triggered messaging, layering in dynamic content and personalized recommendations. Now, at this point, you start dealing with more email versions, more segments, more data, more testing, and the issues can really start compounding. Without the right strategy, you can find yourself not only hindering your real-time personalization efforts, but you can also be damaging the customer experience and start hurting loyalty, increasing opt-outs. So before diving into how LendingTree overcame these challenges, Chris, can you tell us a little bit more about what business factors led LendingTree to evolve its email strategy and move up the maturity curve?
Yeah, definitely. So as I'm sure a lot of people on the call can relate to, we have aggressive goals and growth goals that we want to hit. Our main one that really instigated our need to get better with email, to send more emails, was we had a growth goal in 2017 of 50%, or 50% revenue for the year. And along with that, we also had goals to keep people more engaged with our product and keep people engaged with LendingTree for a longer period of time. Again, to get to that goal of having a relationship with customers so that then when they were ready to get a loan, they would come to us first. So prior to onboarding our partnerships with Blue Shift and SparkPost, we were mainly in a batch and blast mode, where we may have had a few targeting criteria, but not many. So we were mainly sending users just kind of a guess at what they might be interested in, and sending most users the same thing. We had started getting into trigger campaigns a little bit, but we're not very far along that path, not very far along the maturity curve in terms of sending triggered emails. We didn't really do any personalization in terms of messaging, and we were having some deliverability and latency issues. So we had a lot of challenges that were going to make it hard to grow our revenue by 50%.
You know, Chris, in a recent industry survey we at SparkPost conducted, we found that the top 3 performance issues for high volume senders are blocking by a particular mailbox provider like Gmail, Yahoo, Microsoft, even QQ, spam foldering or messages going to the quarantine folder, and spam house or other blacklistings. So that it's something to keep in mind when we talk about challenges and moving up the maturity curve. You know, the resolution for all 3 is engagement, or sending to only engaged subscribers. That then becomes the challenge, right? So keeping the subscribers you have engaged while attracting new subscribers. If you're only blasting out content with the occasional triggered campaign, there's no story to follow, right?
Totally, Tanya. Yeah, those are great points, and we still are very cognizant of a lot of those, and definitely we're feeling the pain of some of those things a lot more acutely in early 2017.
And with that, what challenges did LendingTree experience as email sending volumes increased?
Yeah, so one of the first things we wanted to try to start tackling our goal of growing revenue by 50% is we did early on try to increase the frequency of emails that we were sending, but we immediately hit several problems with that. The first was opt-outs went up, spam reports shot up. Kind of in conjunction with that, engagement, open rates, click-through rates came down, which that's a bad combination of things going down and things going up, and so our reputation started to suffer, our inboxing started to suffer. We also had in our old systems, we had deliverability lags. For us, the time of day when we send an email is pretty important because of some of our business strategies, and so execution lags were really killer for us too. So basically all of that kind of adds up to say, even though we didn't have this concept of the maturity curve in front of us at the time, we were definitely in a place where we couldn't really increase frequency until we had moved up that curve.
Well, speaking of reputation, deliverability problems, and execution lags, SparkPost actually delivers messages extremely fast, but also listens to the feedback received by the mailbox providers. So our adaptive tool, adaptive delivery tool, will actually throttle or slow down delivery when a mailbox provider is sending feedback to do so. So rather than retry, by slowing down some of the messages, it will ensure they are delivered instead of bouncing. So in turn, keeping your reputation positive, and it's a big cycle, right?
And having the right tools, the right partners in place is definitely key. What were some of the best practices that helped LendingTree overcome these challenges and start optimizing high volume sending?
Yeah, good question. And I think this is, for me, the kind of the meat of the question and the exciting stuff that we've been able to do in summary form. It felt like a lot of work at the time, so it's nice to take a step back and be able to put nice bows on this. But number one for us, starting where we were 2 years ago, was finding the right deliverability and data activation partners. So between Marina, you and your team at Blue Shift, and Tanya, you and your team at SparkPost, we really felt like we found that, and it gave us the confidence and the right base to be able to do a lot of the things that followed. The first thing that we did after we had made the transition to working with Blue Shift and SparkPost was to get into predictive scoring. So we worked with Blue Shift's data scientists to really determine which of those 16 products that we have would be the right product for a customer at a given time. So that was a really big, important step change for us, to go from the point of thinking that a customer might need something, to really knowing this is the right product for this customer based on these dozens of data points that we have on this customer.
So that really must come across like you know your subscribers and therefore develop a loyalty to LendingTree, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's really what we found from doing this, is that customers gain more confidence in the information that we were sending to them because the product resonated more with them. The recommendation we were giving, it would actually make sense how this would be a good thing for the customer, instead of batching and blasting and hoping that a customer would be ready to get a credit card or ready to refinance their home loan. They got something just very, very relevant to them. And then the next thing that we tackled after we had worked on getting better with our targeting was personalizing our messaging. So after using a model to say, okay, this person is at a good place in their financial life to refinance their home, we created emails that, instead of saying, hey, you should refinance your home right now, we'd say your home address at 123 Main Street, that you have $300,000 balance remaining on your mortgage, could be refinanced at a lower rate, and you could save $50,000 in interest payments over the lifetime of your loan. When we just added that layer of personalization and that level of personalized messaging, we just found it resonated with customers much more than the more generic messaging, or just putting a first name in a subject line. So really using what we knew about the customer and telling the customer how this recommendation was going to help them was really our second big step change that we were able to find after we started using Blue Shift and SparkPost.
So do you do a lot of testing so that you understand exactly what your customers are going to want to see from you?
Yeah, absolutely. All of it starts with testing, and testing is where it gets exciting with all this personalization, because we would just, like, our eyes would pop at how much of a lift in terms of open rates, click-through rates, conversions we'd get out of each layer of personalization we were doing. And sometimes it was interesting to see how the funnel changed as we personalized. So one just small example of that is we have a product called a personal loan, which is really a loan you can get from a lender that can be used for almost any reason. So one of the main things that our customers use it for is paying off credit card debt. And just doing something like saying, hey, Tanya, we see you have $3,200 of credit card debt. You could pay it off with just making that kind of a shorter version of that, but that into a subject line. Increased open rates a little bit, but increased click-through rates a whole lot, and increasing once we got people to LendingTree by even more. So just having the right level of personalization to respond was really interesting to see how that played out all the way through the funnel.
Do you set expectations and give your customers manual options like a preference center?
Yeah, we definitely do. So we let customers opt in to, all of our emails, or just opt into certain triggered types of emails. And we found that, as we've gotten more and more detailed with what people can opt into and out of, we definitely are able to keep people engaged with the things that they want to be engaged with.
So basically, you really listen to your subscribers and per their experience. So it's really more than just the name in the message, what personalization used to really mean, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we really think of personalization as using everything we know about a customer to deliver the right message, the right offer in the right way, at the right time, at the right frequency. And there's probably even more right ways to use it. But really, we just want to take every data point on a customer and every model we can put together and figure out the best way to speak to our customers. And this last example is one that I wouldn't have even previously thought of really as personalization, but something we've been doing and continue to do and continue to hope to get better at is personalizing the frequency for each user. So depending on what our models say a customer is likely to do, depending on how much engagement a user is having with our emails or with our site or with our, we're sending either more or less emails depending on all these signals and how they add up, so that we send people, a frequency that is right for them and doesn't push too hard on them and get them to opt out.
Great. So with that personalization strategy in play, what benefits has LendingTree experienced? Yeah,
so with our basically 50% goal that we started off with in early 2017, doing all the things the punchline is in the headline there. We've been able to basically quadruple our email revenue, our monthly revenue, from focusing on personalization and making sure we have the right partners and are getting the right advice and staying on top of our deliverability. So in that table on the right, we've been able to really drastically increase the number of emails we're sending. Again, kind of using personalized frequency where we can. We're sending about 5 times as many emails now as we were 2 years ago. With SparkPost help, we were able to get our deliverability up by 6%, which has been great and is obviously a very meaningful number and just gives us the confidence to know that they've got our back and that they're doing a great job making sure that our emails actually get delivered. With the greater personalization, we've also seen our opt-out rates come down by a meaningful amount too, which is great, and it hasn't always been a smooth ride down on that one, but over time as we tested and changed something and then tested again, we've been able to actually reduce our opt-out rates from where we were 2 years ago. And the last thing there, product engagement rates, so actually interacting with LendingTree products, getting people to open, click, visit our site, we've actually been able to more than double that in the last 2 years through all of these efforts. So I love this concept of the maturity curve because it really, I think, synthesizes well the journey that we've been on. as we've been able to go from a batch and blast type of approach towards triggered campaigns and monitoring customer journeys and getting to one-to-one personalization.
And these results are very impressive. Chris, can you tell the audience, were there any battle scars along the way? Any kind of key learnings as you were going up this maturity curve to get to the results that you've experienced?
Yeah. There were tons of test ideas that didn't work out well. I think the most important one, obviously, was you have to be to a place where you can really resonate with customers before you can increase the frequency. I think with personalization, I think Tanya mentioned this a little bit earlier, but personalization is definitely well beyond just including like a first name in a subject line. And so we found we've never found personalization really hurts, but we've definitely found that there's some personalization that works really well and some that doesn't do a whole lot. But I think doing things to personalize emails, like putting someone's home address, putting the make, model, year there, talking about how you can help the person with this thing that's important to them, has been the most meaningful types of personalization that we've done. With any type of frequency gain, I'm sure plenty of people on the call have been through these battles before. You obviously don't want to lose too many customers by increasing frequency too fast or before you have the content and the messages and the story that you can kind of tell the customers over a higher frequency of emails. So we definitely have been through those battles and have scars and continue to try to get better at this higher frequency of making sure that everything we send to customers is as relevant as possible and as useful to them as possible.
So often we tell our customers that quality wins over quantity. However, Chris, by really listening to your subscribers, you're able to keep them interested by sending them, valuable quality content at a frequency that's really important to them. Therefore, you give them quality and quantity. I mean, look at those opt-out numbers. I mean, even though you increased your volume by 5 times, you actually your actual opt-out volumes are 3.5 times less than what they were in 2017. So, also looking at the engagement, it's common for engagement to drop when the volumes increase. However, you're not increasing the volume by adding non-engaged subscribers or purchasing lists, things that we frown upon, right? You're actually just keeping them engaged. You're sending them information that they want to see when they want to see it. So, your list actually grows organically with new subscribers as they come on. However, you keep the old subscribers interested and engaged. Just really impressive.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya. And definitely been a team effort with you and your team. And I think one other thing on opt-outs, which you just touched on and which Marina kind of referenced with battle scars, is I think a big reason that our opt-out rates have come down, to your point on quality over quantity, is if you can identify who the people are who are likely to opt out, either based on recent engagements or other data points that you might have, you can really take a lighter touch with those people and try to send them just the single most engaging stuff that you have and send them less emails than you send everyone else, so that when those people who are more likely to opt out actually get to the point where they're ready to get a loan with us, they're still engaged and they're still getting emails from us, and we've saved that opt out. So all this stuff really works together, and personalization has definitely been the key to driving a lot of these different metrics.
Creating that story of engaging them and keeping them engaged until they're ready to really use your product is really important.
Yeah, definitely.
So now, what's on the horizon for LendingTree? What are new opportunities that you're excited about, and are there any remaining challenges?
Oh yeah, we've definitely got our share of challenges and I think share of opportunities, and there's a lot more room for us to grow. But the big opportunities as we see them are really to increase the amount of data and kind of the insights that we're getting out of our data, the way we're processing data, so that we can be as good as possible at understanding what our users' needs are. Continuing to personalize the experience all the way, from opening an email to looking at the template to where you land, whether it's in an app or on a page somewhere, is also, we've directionally started doing some of that and seen some really strong initial results. So we want to keep pushing in that direction of making it as cohesive an experience as possibly can. And the last thing that I just want to touch on here that we're excited about, which hopefully we'll all be getting more news on relatively soon, is excited about the potential opportunities that AMP can provide to kind of personalize, kind of make a cohesive experience, but really just to make emails, more dynamic and really more of an experience that people are used to seeing on their phones when they open a browser. So we're really excited about AMP. And then
SparkPost is partnering with Google, and we'll have AMP available for email soon as well. So these are really exciting times in email. A lot of change.
Yeah, that's great. Great to hear, Tanya. Glad you guys are in the loop and experts on all that stuff. We'll definitely have fun tests to do and fun opportunities to figure out how to use AMP together.
Absolutely.
And on our ongoing challenges, I think, and just we continue to work with SparkPost and team to keep our IP reputations as healthy as we can and maximize our inboxing rates. And we've always got a test or two going on to see what we can do to keep those rates as high as possible.
Great. Now, before moving on to audience questions, what's one thing that you want people to take away about how to succeed with high volume sending? And I'll begin by kicking it over to you, Tanya.
First and foremost is that it's, high volume sending is not really about just adding more subscribers to your list. It's about, creating a story and staying in contact and really developing a relationship with the subscribers you have, as well as with new subscribers as they come onto your platform.
Chris?
Yeah, cool. And I definitely agree with all of that. And our perspective on how to develop that relationship as well as possible is just really comes back to the quality of data and the data activation partners that we work with. So Blue Shift and SparkPost. So for us, the more data that you can get in a centralized place that you can use to identify what your customers need and what they are most likely to be interested in doing next, is really been the key to unlocking a lot of the gains that we've had. And then again, just reiterating something from a few slides ago, but personalizing every message and every template that we send out to customers is also critical, and can't do that without having as much data as possible in one usable place.
Great. And so getting into a few audience questions. Chris, what were the key metrics you used to balance the reputational and deliverability risks of sending higher volume?
Yeah, so we would definitely look at kind of the plus side, which was, are we getting more engagement? Are we getting more revenue per customer when we would send higher frequency, with the downsides of what happens in postmaster to our reputation and what happens to our opt-out rates. And so for us, as we would increase frequency in test environments, we would kind of look at the positives and negatives and try to balance those out one by ones. And in between frequency tests, then we would go back and do more to personalize, and then come back and test again. And usually we'd be able to negate a lot of the negative things by just increasing more personalization.
And what features and support were most important for sending a higher volume of emails?
Yeah, really, really good question. I think this is a good one just to reiterate that working with Blue Shift data scientists on predictive scores was huge. Being able to use a lot of the Blue Shift features of personalization, having as much data as possible within Blue Shift that they could support and quickly render and quickly execute emails over to SparkPost was also huge. And on the SparkPost side, definitely just their support, their staying on top of deliverability, on top of inboxing, on top of reputations, and keeping us appraised as, you know, before we would even notice it, that there could have been an issue on some domain was obviously also really critical for us.
Great. And as you touched on, and as we've seen time and time again, personalization is really key to succeed with high volume sending. But starting off on the personalization journey can be intimidating sometimes. Any advice for marketers just starting out with personalization?
Yeah. My strongest advice would be, you know, work with your engineers, work with your data activation partners to get as much data as you can in one place. Even if you're not really close to being able to do that, whatever personalization elements you can use, no matter how small they are, just use them and test those. Because I think any level of personalization that you don't have today will be a win versus where you are today. But over the long term, you definitely need to get your data usable and in a place where you can, you know, personalize your targeting, send the right thing to the right person, and message it in the way that's going to resonate the most with a specific customer use case. So it sounds like you're having a one-to-one conversation, giving a person the best possible answer, the best possible advice for that person's situation.
And another dependency to personalization is having enough personalized content. How did you and your team go about, you know, having the right content to serve in those personalized experiences?
Yeah, good question. For us, we luckily have like a pretty large content team, and we've got some dedicated email designers who can crank out new types of content really quickly. So we have different hero images that we can swap into the same essential product email if we want to sell some, or not sell, if we want to send someone a email to drive them to apply for a new credit card. We've got several different type of hero images that we can swap in and out depending on what we know about the customer, or just we'll switch it out on a regular basis to make sure the creative stays feeling fresh. But definitely for us, we have a lot of different sources of content that we don't really run short of types of content to send, or just to send customers who aren't really at the point of getting a loan so that they can read new articles or get more information about our loan products. But I definitely recommend as a first step, just to create a lot of different types of content and try recycling those. So if you have like one type of email that you want to send, and you have 3 potential different types of content to put in there, maybe you do a cycle of first time send creative A, second time send creative B, third time send creative C, and see if that's better than sending the same content 3 times in a row.
Great. And you know, the worst thing for email is ending up with a spam folder. How do you determine if your messages are actually going to spam folder?
So the best way to determine about messages going to the spam folder is to begin with benchmarking. So really monitor what your open rates are for each individual recipient domain, and benchmark what that normal rate is. And anytime you see a sudden drop in open rates, you'll definitely, it's a big red sign, that an indicator that you are possibly spam foldering. So it's really important then to look at your engagement, maybe you know, pull back or tighten up on the engagement volumes that you're sending to, and then or do some frequency testing as well.
Yeah, really good.
I think we're gonna have to wrap it up there, guys. I just want to say a quick thank you again to all of our presenters and attendees for joining us today. We hope you captured a few actionable insights that you can apply to your own email programs. And as a quick reminder, we'll be sending a copy of the recording of the presentation and the slides out to all attendees within 24 hours. Thanks again for your time, and hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.